Good morning and welcome to IG's early morning call. I'm Angela Barnes. Coming up on today's programme. In equity markets, US and APAC indices show modest losses as traders remain indecisive. easyJet has released its full year results and has swung back to profit after 3 consecutive years of losses. And in precious metals, gold has settled above $2,000 while silver steadies at a 3-month high. Okay, well, let's start by taking a look at volatility this morning and the VIX index. And you can see the VIX has been lower the month of November, with volatility down about 29% this month. Since Friday, volatility, you can see, continues to edge higher, however, as investors poise themselves for this week ahead. On the day, it's currently up 0.14%. Now, with 30 minutes to go until the European markets open, this is how the pre-market is looking across Europe. The FTSE 100, France's CAC 40 and Germany's DAX all set for a lower open, all down nearly, the DAX down 0.22% and the CAC 40 and FTSE marginally lower. And now that's as investors digest the latest economic data releases early doors, including German GfK consumer confidence data, which we'll have more of in just a moment. Last night, European stocks ended the session lower as the mood remains cautious, as euro area price growth as well continues to be surrounded by uncertainty. Well, how were things looking in Asia overnight? Well, let's take a look. Well, it was a mixed close. You can see the Nikkei 225 ended lower, down 0.12%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng also down 0.72%. And Australia's S&P ASX 200 up 0.39%. Well, investors will be keeping an eye on Australia's October inflation figures on Wednesday, among other data this week, including China capturing manufacturing PMI data for November. That's out at the end of this week. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Wall Street. US stock futures were flat on Monday night, even as the major indexes remained on track to book their best month in over a year, as an upbeat Wall Street kept rally hopes alive. You can see the Dow Jones, S&P 500 and the Nasdaq all finished in the red. And now as well, let's have a look at how things are doing early trade in the US. If we just take a look, the US 500 as well as the set for a flat open. Once again, the Nasdaq also set for a marginally lower open, currently down 0.14%. And Wall Street actually up slightly, just 0.05% at the moment. Well, a fresh reading on PCE inflation due Thursday could put the November rally to the test, as it's the Federal Reserve's preferred gauge of consumer price pressures. Of course, we'll be keeping across that. But moving on in other economic data, and in Australia, retail sales unexpectedly dropped by 0.2% in October, month over month, swinging from a 0.9% increase in September and missing market forecasts of 0.1% growth. This was the first decline in retail trade since June. Now, if we just have a look at the Australian dollar, US dollar price chart, well, the pair extended gains in the early Asian session this morning and is currently flat, just slightly up on the day now, 0.09%. It surged to 0.6605 on the weak US dollar in early trading, reaching its highest level since early August amid the US dollar weakness, currently at 66.12. So we'll be keeping across that as well. But moving on now as well to Germany, because the GfK consumer confidence data is out and the index rose to minus 27.8 points heading into December from minus 28.1 the month before. Well, Germany's economy continues, however, to remain under pressure. Its gross domestic product shrunk last week and its manufacturing sector is still in contraction territory. However, global PMI data for the countries, which summarises whether market conditions are expanding, staying the same or contracting, came in at 47.1 in November, up from October's 45.9, and the highest since July. However, as the PMI number is under 50, it does still mean obviously a sign of contraction. And for Germany, it also is the 5th consecutive month in the sub 50 contraction territory. So we will be keeping across that as well, of course. Now, US economic data this week. Let's have a look at what's happening there. Well, US conference board consumer confidence figures for November are released today. Economists anticipate the index to fall to 101 in November from 102.6 the previous month. This week also sees the release of US GDP, second estimate data for the third quarter on Wednesday, personal income, ISM manufacturing PMI figures, the Fed Beige Book and preferred core PCE price index, of course, all of that out this week. The economic reports could provide clues on the extent of the US Federal Reserve's monetary policy impact. Now, let's have a look at some things on the corporate front, because we've had easyJet's full year results this morning, and the company has reported annual profit before tax has come in at £455 million. That's a £633 million year-over-year improvement. Meanwhile, its dividend has been reinstated, 4.5 pence per share, payable in early 2024. Now, the stock is not an all-session stock on the IG platform, but just to show you, I'm just going to pull up the easyJet price chart, because its share price has demonstrated, well, considerable volatility in recent months, with the stock plunging 15% in October before recovering slightly in November, you can see. But the share price losses in October, well, that came after easyJet reported a record summer and forecast a pre-tax profit of 650 to 670 million pounds for Q4. However, the full year profit outlook was lower than expected. But the recent financial performance is easyJet as well before today's results has been a mixed bag, with strike actions and increased competition weighing on the airline. Also, a rise in global fuel prices triggered by the Hamas attack as well in October that has negatively impacted passenger numbers. Well, in other corporate news, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise will report earnings after the market close later, and will no doubt be looking to beat market expectations as it has done for the last 4 quarters. Well, the IT services group is expected to report fiscal fourth quarter earnings of 0.50 cents per share on revenue of $7.35 billion. Investors will likely be keeping across its edge product performance figures. Last month, the company issued a full year fiscal 2024 adjusted earnings guidance of $1.82 to $2.02 per share last month. Analysts had been expecting $2.15 per share. Not an all-session stock as well, but I'm just going to pull up its price chart for you. The company's share price is roughly back. You can see where it was in December last year, around 1581, after losing steam after a higher performance, you can see, over the summer months. Meanwhile, moving on, oil prices, let's have a look at those in commodities news, because this morning we can see that US crude is marginally higher, up 0.12%, trading around $74 a barrel. While Brent is also marginally higher, up 0.13%, trading around $79 a barrel, a level it was at in July. WTI following a similar price path. Well, the delayed OPEC Plus meeting will take place now on Thursday, with individual quotas and supply cuts remaining central to the meeting, of course, which oil traders will be closely watching. And should OPEC ramp up its supply cuts, this could jolt oil markets higher as markets adjust to a world of lower oil supply. And let's move over now to have a look at how gold is doing this morning. Yesterday it went over the $2,000 mark, and again this morning it's still up there, 2015. Trading 0.1% higher on the day. So it does continue to push above the 2000 level last seen in mid-May. And this is thanks to the downtrend in the US dollar. Gold is also being fueled by expectations that the US Federal Reserve will not raise interest rates further. And gold traders will be watching out for US GDP figures on Wednesday and more inflation figures on Thursday. Meanwhile, let's just quickly cross over to silver. That is down 0.06% at the moment. However, it has steadied at a 3-month high back at the 24.61 level seen at the end of August. Well, that's all we've got time for today on Early Morning Call. Thank you very much for watching. Do keep across all our IG platforms for updates and market analysis. And don't forget, we have Beat the Street this afternoon at 1:30 with Angeline John. Thank you.